In 2024, a pandemic ravages the world and its cities, centering on a handful of people as they navigate the obstacles currently hindering society: disease, martial law, quarantine, and vigilantes. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new movie review, and today we're talking about a film that had a lot of people discussing it once they heard what it was about, and especially when that trailer dropped. I'm talking about the sci-fi thriller Songbird. I'm gonna let you all know what I thought about this film and if you should check it out in this spoiler-free review. Before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new videos. It would mean a lot if you all can share this video and give it a thumbs up. It helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And in the comments, let me know, number one, if you were excited for Songbird, and if you've seen the film, let's discuss it. Your positives, your negatives, let's discuss it all in the comments below. So again, Songbird, everyone heard about it early in the year that Michael Bay was going to produce a film about the pandemic, especially after people were watching Contagion, and it had like the highest rental numbers since the film released almost 10 years ago. And then you have, everything about it. Is it too insensitive? Is it too soon? And look, I know that there will automatically be people that will not give this film the day of light just due to the fact that when they want to see a movie, and I can relate to this at times, when I see certain movies, I want to be as far away from reality as possible. I want to go to different galaxies, different universes, and kind of enjoy a sci-fi adventure, right? And then there's the other side of the fence where it's like, you know what? There's something going on in the world right now, and people need to talk about it, right? Whether it be the injustice system, whether it be world hunger, just so many different topics. And Hollywood always does this, right? They capitalize on what's going on right now, whether it's positive or negative. They give you some content, let you decide for your own, and that's what we're talking about today, Songbird, which is, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't necessarily looking forward to seeing this film, but I did get the opportunity to see a screener of it last night, and here we are discussing it. Starting off with the positives. Look, I'll say this. I feel like there's that relatability factor just inherently within the film, just due to the fact of what's going on in the film with our two main characters, Nico and Sarah. They're lovebirds. They can't physically see each other, so how do they communicate? Their phones, they have to use Skype and FaceTime to be able to see what's going on in each other's life. And I think that's something that I look forward to in a lot of films is, can I relate to the characters? And that was a moment where I'm like, you know what? I can relate to I can relate to what these characters are going through right now, because that's something I go through every single day. And I think we can all relate to that, right? Unless you're on planet Mars with the Alien Federation, we all know that when it comes to communicating with our loved ones and friends, technology has been a gift in that matter. So there's the relatability factor that I liked within the film. I will say, as in regards to the performances and the actors, it's a pretty interesting cast. KJ Apa, I've seen him in him as Archie in Riverdale. He's fine in that show from the handful of episodes I've seen. He was in the film The Hate U Give. I thought he was okay there. So I think he's a perfect type of actor to be in a Michael Bay produced film. So I thought he was okay. Sofia Carson, Craig Robertson, Peter Stormare, Alexandra Daddario, Demi Moore. You have Walter Hauser, Bradley Whitford. So you have some talented people, and I think that they did the best that they could with the script that they were given, which we'll talk about that script when we get to my criticisms. But when it comes to that entire cast, I do think the standout for me was Peter Stormare. He's a very over-the-top actor. He loves to be a Michael Bay content, and there's a reason why, because he could just go wild, and he goes wild with that character. And I appreciated the kind of the over-the-topness of him really embracing him being this head of the sanitation department. And you see him in the trailer with the whole, sanitate, clean your hands, and boom, all that. He plays into the hamminess of the character, which I enjoyed. And then lastly, with my positives, the film does not overwhelm and stay. It's under 90 minutes, so it goes by. It's a slow pace, but it goes by at a pace where I'm just like, you know what? I'm so glad it's not 2 hours plus long, because I would have probably pulled my hair out. So it didn't overwhelm and stay. I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. I didn't like this film. It's not the worst film that I've seen this year, but damn, it is pretty close. When it comes to just the idea of this film, how we heard about it at the top of the year, I think it is so clear of day that this film was clearly written, casted by actors that were bored during quarantine, shot and edited all within maybe 4 to 6 weeks tops. It is so clear within this film that it is just so rushed and just so unoriginal. It's so bland when it comes to the story. It's extremely boring. I'm not gonna lie. I was bored throughout this film. When you see the trailer, again, I haven't seen the trailer since October. I revisited the trailer after I watched the film to be like, I thought this was going to be kind of like The Purge meets Contagion. Nah, it fall flat on all fronts. I mean, literally, it's labeled as a sci-fi thriller. The thrilling aspects are all in the trailer. I don't want to get into the spoiler aspect of it, but it is the farthest thing from a thriller. And when you get to those exhilarating, kind of heartfelt, or I should say, more action-heavy moments, it's just bland. At the core of it, it's just a bland film in the way it's kind of constructed. The film at its core is about a love story. Again, I think that's kind of the message within this kind of convoluted film is like, even in this pandemic, you can still communicate with your loved ones. You can still fight for your loved ones. You can still fight for love, even though if you get caught outside, they would kill you in this film or put you in the Q zone, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But I think to me, when it comes to this love story, you know, KJ and Sofia as Nico and Sarah, respectively, I could care less. I did not care that they survived. I wasn't rooting for them, and that's just due to the fact that the script didn't really develop these characters. We're introduced to AJ's or KJ's character as his package deliverer, as his carrier, and that's like, you know, the first 15 minutes of the film, which is like you would think they would build the world and expand the world, and what's the world like within this pandemic? You know, why are there no people outside? What does the Q zone look like? We don't get none of that. We just focus on this love story. We see Sarah's character, one of her close family members, get the virus. You see this in the trailer, and that's the gist of the story. Literally, the trailer gives you everything you need to know about this film. So if you haven't seen the trailer, stick away from it because you might be, I guess, surprised. I don't really think so because it's very predictable. But again, the love story, I really didn't care for it. And going back to that cast that I had mentioned, they are completely wasted. In particularly, Alexandra Daddario, who I'm a fan of, right? I think she's so typecasted at this point in her career where she has very piercing, beautiful eyes. She's a very beautiful young lady, and I think she's a talented actress, but she was so wasted in this movie and so unnecessary. I won't get into her subplot, but it involves Demi Moore and Bradley Whitford, and it's just like they can completely have took that subplot out and just focus more, again, on the world building. Or how about this? How about you would have made KJ's character a part of the sanitation, and he has to go take his girlfriend out because, you know, someone she lives with has this virus. There was so much potential in this film. It could have had a lot more to say. It could have had a lot more emotional gravitas. It could have been a lot more entertaining, but it falls flat on all scenarios. Again, I just talked about Demi Moore's character and Bradley Whitford. They're rich people, so there's a storyline there, like the rich can get away with certain things. They're involved in a certain black market, but the film just kind of has the framing of some interesting things, but they just don't go there. They just limit themselves. So again, I think that's due to the fact that they probably had a very limited budget. They had to shoot this film in a certain amount of times. I think this is one of the first, if not the first film that had to shoot under the new protocols with the pandemic, but you can tell that there was lack of resources and there was lack of just interesting nature to this story because it just falls flat on a lot of fronts for me personally. The film, I don't think has necessarily a harmful message to it, but I think it could have had something to say. It could have been inspirational. It could have been like, we're gonna, you know, make it through it. We're gonna make it out of the other side. But this film is just like dark and glim, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense logistically speaking of how things kind of play out within his world. Like, what's other people doing in Los Angeles? What's other people doing in other countries? And again, I don't want to get into the people that are immune and the people that do have it, which is it doesn't make much sense when you look at Demi Moore's character and her husband. They have a child in the film, and it's just like, what's going on here? Again, the film is just really underdeveloped and just really kind of unnecessary in regards to, it could have said something, it could have been inspirational, but instead they just rush something that was just unnecessarily had to be made, if I'm being honest. And going to Michael Bay, I'll finish it up here because I don't want to turn this into a rant because you can clearly see I didn't like this film. This, even though this wasn't directed by Michael Bay, it clearly he had his hand heavily involved in this film, whether it be the quick edits, the crazy amount of product placement, the story's all over the place. There aren't explosions, which was surprising. Again, it goes back to a lack of action. And this was just a kind of paint by numbers, very bland type of film. And again, I'm not a fan of Michael Bay, but you can see that his hand was heavily involved in this film. So wrapping this thing up, before I give you all my overall thoughts, let you know if I think you should watch this film, which I think you know what I'm going to say here pretty soon. But before we get into it, make sure to like, share, comment your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you can get all of my new videos on this channel. With that being said, let me give you all my overall thoughts of this film, Songbird. So overall, for me, Songbird wasn't necessarily the worst film I've seen this year, but damn was it close. This cast was completely wasted. The story was so bland and unoriginal and completely boring. This was truly felt like a neutered Michael Bay knockoff film of The Purge in a pandemic without anything interesting to say or have any type of reason why it had to be made. With that being said, I'm going to give Songbird a 1.5 out of 5. I don't recommend you all see this film when it becomes available on VOD this Friday. Look, I'll say this. If you're having problems sleeping, you need something to kind of put you to sleep, maybe that's why you get this film. But outside of that, don't waste your time, ladies and gentlemen. It's completely waste of time in my personal opinion. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you saw this film, Songbird, and you think it's a good film and you enjoyed it, that's so awesome. Let me know your thoughts on that front. But if you've seen it and you're more in line with me in regards to this being just a really bad movie, let me know your thoughts on that as well. As always, make sure to like, share, comment your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the content here at Movie Files. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you on the next video.